Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's installment of Tour Pro Talks. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, for being here with us. And if you're watching on replay, also thank you very much. I'm Genevieve White. I'm a copywriter and copy coach. And I'm absolutely delighted to welcome my very special guest today. This is David Harry. Hello,
Hello.
David. Now, if you are ever on TikTok, you should recognize David, and if you don't recognize him, make sure you follow his account. It's highly likely you will, or you will have heard of him, because David Harry is very famous on TikTok. He's amassed millions of followers, of views, and it's really not hard to see why. So do follow David on TikTok if you're not already there. But David's much more than just a TikTok influencer. He's a very interesting London tour guide, and a checkered history as well, a checkered career history. He's gone from being the vice president of Deutsche Bank to being a tour guide, which is a pretty amazing career journey. So, David, maybe we could just start by the first question. Could you tell me what prompted your switch from a corporate career to tour guiding?
Burnout, I suppose. So, yeah, I retired at 56, first of all, because I could. So, background is I got a degree in classics, Latin and ancient Greek originally. Hey, Ivan. And then I then lived in Egypt for a couple of years as a teacher. And what I did then, I was teaching young children. I'd set them a task. I researched and found 50 different locations in Cairo for them to go and come and do a report on in their holiday break. So I think already by that time I was interested in the concept of culture and heritage and research as well. And I also worked as an English language teacher in the South Coast. So I took groups as 20-year-old up to London for the day. So I got the little bit of that guiding in my blood as well. But basically, so I came to London. I met my wife. She's a professional stand-up comedian. And she said to me when we started going out, you must get a job, because I was between jobs at the time. I
Mhm.
got sacked basically from my another job. Let's not talk about that. And so I thought I'd just do anything to support this relationship. And we're still married now, by the way. And
Well done.
I started temping as a photocopy operator. And I started working in a big law firm in the city of London. I moved to Deutsche Bank. And when they took me on, they said, you will never be anything other than a photocopy operator. So I was very polite and I just thought, okay, let's see what I can do about that. So fast forward 25 years, I was a vice president at the bank, one of many. Yeah, I'm not going to say I was like the senior honcho, but yeah, it's still it's good. And I
This
had
is
was in there.
amazing.
Yeah, and I was in this thing called a final salary pension scheme, which is no longer available to anyone nowadays, which meant I was able to retire at 56 on a reasonable salary, just enough to live off. But then I was pushing myself out into the world. So I had, and I basically, working in the city of London, it's incredible. It's my favorite place in the whole world because you're surrounded by history going back almost 2000 years. It's the original Londinium, founded by the Romans in the first century. And there are layers of history underneath your feet. Wherever you walk, you can look up and see Christopher Wren churches. You can see the cutting edge, latest architecture by Zaha Hadid, Norman Foster, Richard Rogers, competing with each other. It's a laboratory. And you've also got the Roman remains under your feet. You've got the Great Fire of London history. You've got livery companies. It's just unlimited history there as well. So I qualified as the City of London guide in 2017. I saw an advert basically say become a City of London guide. I thought this is incredible. So my escape route, and it's very competitive to get onto the course. There are
Mhm.
150 odd applicants each year, an average for 25 places. So I failed the first year, wasn't put off, applied again, got on the second time. And as soon as I'd done it, I thought, I can't believe I found this. This is just like, blew my mind that I could actually do this and get paid for it as well. And another thing, briefly, in our first day as a student at the City of London Guides course, one of the teachers said to us that, it reminds me of my first interview at Deutsche Bank. They said, you will never make much money as a tour guide. Very few people ever actually get a full-time career from this. So just set your expectations. And
Mhm.
again, I thought, let's see what I can do about that. And so I went full-time in the middle of lockdown. And I first specialized in Zoom tours as well. And luckily, because of my history in the city, I had a lot of contacts through LinkedIn. And therefore, I was able to get Some work straight away. I also approached all of the livery companies in the City of London, just wrote to their clerks and said, I can offer you a Zoom tour on your London history. And I specialized in using the virtual background in Zoom, which was
Uh-huh.
and I was able to put videos behind it as well. So it was really recreating the experience of guiding. Much better than just with a passive text-based or PowerPoint side background. And then it just took off from there. And yeah, I haven't regretted a single moment of it. And the other thing is,
Nice.
I'd made my decision to retire, and I told my mother. And sadly, she passed away just afterwards, so she wasn't ever able to see what I actually did with my career. But I'm so glad that she knew that was what my plan was. So yeah.
It really is an inspiring story, and I'm getting a very strong impression, David, that you are a man who likes to prove people wrong. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm polite about it, but I like challenges. I'm always thinking of new ways to express myself. That's why, for example, I took up the trumpet at the age of 40. I'm now doing grade 5 of the jazz syllabus, and my neighbours said that they thought I'd improved recently, which is
Neighbours are the best reviewers, I think. So if they're saying you're improving, you must be doing something
and then
right.
also, shortly after that, I also took up magic as well. So I'm a professional magician. I'll talk about it later. I'm a member of the Magic Circle.
Yeah,
And again, that
that's
was late in life because my wife isn't a particularly big magic fan. She's not listening, don't worry. And so, so if I'd probably been a magician when we met, we probably wouldn't have got together. So there we go. So
I'd
yeah,
love to, I'd love to be in your house, magic and comedy. What a combination. We're going to talk a little bit about magic later, but there's actually loads of comments just flooding on. So let's have a look at them. Oh, sorry, this person, your name's not displaying for some reason, but hello from London. Lovely that you're with us. And Ivan, yes, absolutely, I agree. Amazing career. And hi from Shetland Islands. Hello, James. We've got a strong island contingency with us today. Hello, Les. Nice to have you with us. Oh, and Chris. Nice
hey,
to have
Chris.
you with us today, Chris. Oh, you did a magic trick. I hope you've got one up your sleeve for today.
I have indeed.
Fantastic. Oh, that is magic indeed. Yeah, Martin was in a shopping mall in Lanzarote, heard his phone talking, and wondered what it was. The podcast had started without me doing anything. Are you responsible for this, David?
Yes, look into my eyes.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Welcome. I'm sure you're already enjoying this session as I am. And yeah, feel free to drop any questions you may have for David onto the chat as well. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them. But in the meantime, let's move on and talk a little bit about some of the different elements to your tours, David. Because looking at your website, I'm seeing you've got some magic tours, you've
Mhm.
got some spy tours,
Yeah.
which I'm interested in finding out a little bit more about. So could you maybe just share, maybe talk us through some of your tour offerings and just maybe, what inspired these? What was the thinking behind offering these tours and how they're received by your guests as well?
So I have there's two different approaches. So if I come, most of the tours I do are things that I'm interested in myself. And I don't really try to create stuff that I think will necessarily have a big audience. I just want to do certain things. And so that's part of it. And then I do get lots of requests. So people will approach me and say, because I love both bespoke tours as well. I love creating a tour from scratch. And the thing is, I would view it to be like learning a language. So there are two aspects to a language. You've got the grammar and you've got the vocabulary. So the grammar is the nuts and bolts of how to guide, basically. It's the practical skills, audience management, and then you've got the vocabulary, which are the stops, which is the knowledge that you have about certain places. And what I find is the more I do bits of London, the more I've got these amazing vocabulary that I can then throw around and mix into a new order and create a new narrative that links them together and a new story. And so for example, when I called myself the London Spy when I started out, I had no intention of doing any spy tours then. I called myself the London Spy because of a really fantastic book written by this guy called Ned Ward called The London Spy, published about the year 1700. And it's
Mhm.
exposing the steamy underbelly of London life at the time. So he has like different chapters where he goes to prison, goes to the markets, goes to the law courts, sees the fishwives shouting away at Billingsgate, has a taxi ride with a water taxi driver, and they compete in swearing, and it's really, and so I thought, Oh, what a lovely title. And no one had taken it either. So I found a website, londonspy.com. And then people said, when are you going to do your spy tours? And so I thought, oh, I better write one. So I started. Nowadays, I've got this fantastic spy tour. I personally think it's a fantastic spy tour that I put together, and so different things. So people approach me, and I rarely turn I really turn a brief down. I found I just loved stretching myself. So sometimes I'll be asked to do stuff that I've got no knowledge of whatsoever. But as long as I've got enough time to do it, I know that I'm confident I can do it. A lot of it obviously is done by books. So I've got hundreds of books that I keep on buying. I've actually a book a day, sometimes a lot of from eBay. This is one of my favorites, A Spy's London, for example. It's a bit out of date, but it's still very useful. I've got what else? I've got this one here. Um, London Film Direct Location Guide. So you just what else have I got here as well? And I do Churchill tours, Churchill's Bunker, etc. Literally, this is just next to me on the shelf. I also specialize in. I buy rare stuff. I buy really. I invest in documents and books and historic artifacts, which I then bring out and help create my tours with as well. For example, I bought this recently. I'm not sure anyone can see it in detail. I feel I can. This is
Oh, yeah.
it's a genuine invitation and the ticket number 4,000, whatever it is, to the coronation of George IV in 1821.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's really heavily embossed. It's very, very high quality printing, and it's one of the most fascinating coronations in history as well. Those who know their story will know it's the one in which George IV, who was obscenely unpopular, he was the most expensive coronation in history, and he banned his wife from attending it as well, Caroline Brunswick. So she was banging on the door. But luckily, Princess Diana had survived. She probably would have done the same thing at Westminster Abbey when Charles was crowned with Camilla. And she caught a cold and died a few weeks later as well. So I will bring this out to my guests as long as it's not raining, and we start my royal tour outside Westminster Abbey. I'll just say, look at this. So I just love trying to find I combine the stories with artifacts and locations to create so I'm not sure that's an answer for you, but basically I just
No.
do what I love. So basically I'm a bit selfish, really. I'm quite lazy. I hate the administration of tours, so I've got no aspirations to grow bigger, or I just love guiding, and anything I can do to get straight to the guide experience is what helps me. That's what I try to do.
And I think the fact that you enjoy it so much and you're so enthusiastic about it probably makes it a very enjoyable experience for your guests as well.
If I stop
Um,
enjoying it, I'll stop doing it, basically. So yeah.
can you say a little bit more about the magic element of your tours?
So I was interested in magic a bit before I became a tour guide, and I actually used to perform as a magician regularly. In London comedy clubs, for example, mostly through connections that my wife had got, but also corporate events as well, weddings. So I was a magician, and when I started doing guiding, I thought, how can I combine the two together? What elements make it work?
Mhm.
Without it being too much of a shoehorning of something that is not particularly, working in it. And so I also started doing Harry Potter tours as well, which obviously is a perfect combination. And the good thing about the Harry Potter tours is there's so many different locations in London, either in the books or the films, which lend themselves to an integrated tour route, which I can combine magic with as well. So, for example, one of my favorite possessions is something that I bought a while ago. So this is a massive investment that I made. I have to say, it's one of the most expensive things I've ever bought. It is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. This is a first edition of
Wow.
the book, which is worth probably about £10,000 now. And
My
I had it put into a special protected case. I've had to take out extra insurance to allow me to bring it out onto my tours as well. And this is a really special thing that's I don't think any other tour guide in London offers that sort of you know special thing. So in terms of the magic, for example, if I'm at the Bank of England, I do money magic. I take a £5 note and turn it into a 50 or whatever. Or if I'm at the Tower Hill, I talk about executions and I use bits of rope at different lengths, which is the one that Chris Torres saw when I was on stage at Arrival. I also do just there's got one here, for example. So I wanted to show you the difference between sleight of hand. And by the way, I'm not going to move this out of the screen at all, so it's going to keep here all the time. Between sleight of hand and the Harry Potter style real magic. Okay,
Mhm.
so
Okay.
I'm going to ask you generally to think of a card. Now, many people will try to choose an obvious card, which would be like Ace of Spades, Queen of Hearts, whatever, Queen of Spades. So try and choose a less obvious one because I don't want it to be. I don't want you to make it easy for me. But
Okay.
so, as I said, sleight of hand followed by real magic. So, can you please tell our audience which card you'd like to choose?
This is great.
Oh, by the way, my
7
catchphrase is "This might not work." Just
Seven of diamonds,
seven of
please.
diamonds. Okay, watch very carefully. I open the pack. Okay, I pull out the deck. I'm going to stand up and spread the cards from hand to hand like this. Okay, and if you can look very closely here, can you see that one card
Yeah.
and one card alone is
What?
upside down inside the deck? The only card that's facing the other way inside the deck. That's the sleight of hand because I manipulated it as I was opening the box there. The real magic is this: of all the cards here, you happen to choose the only one that has a blue back.
That
Thank
is
you very much.
wow. That's amazing. Wow. That's
So it really makes a big difference to my own experience. I love performing magic so much as well. So I'm just combining my two favorite hobbies.
I'll probably just not be able to ask you any questions now because I'll just be trying to figure out how on earth you did that. Wow, I'm so impressed. If anyone has any thoughts or suggestions or theories, do put them in the comments. Um, Real magic performed for the first time ever on Tour Pro Talks. Um, Hola to Vicky, who's watching from Barcelona, and hello to everybody else who's watching. Thank you all so much for being here today. Isn't this amazing? I am absolutely loving this session. We're going to go on to speaking about something a little bit different, though. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, um, David is huge on TikTok. And as I think I said earlier on, it's really not hard to see why. I mean, you can just start watching, you think, oh, I'll go and check one of these TikTok videos, and ages later, you're still there because the videos are just so fun and so informative and so different. So, David, tell me how did you get into TikTok in the first place?
Yeah, it was okay. It was in June 2022, and the app just came up on my phone. Someone talked about it, and I just uploaded it and started watching. I didn't have a clue what it was about at first. I got this stream of videos I wasn't interested in. Why did they send them to me? And then I saw, oh, you could do create videos as well. So I was actually out with my dog, um, Frankie, and I had a bag of his poo in my hand. And I thought, let's record an entertaining video. So I was about 40 feet away from a bin, and I swelled the bag, recorded it, and I managed to get it into it from that distance through a small hole in the side. And I recorded that, and Frankie was watching it. His head was like this, so I posted it. I got about 300 views. I thought, well, okay, cool. I was expecting a bit more, you know. And then I thought, let's do something about tour guiding because actually what I really love. So I did, and but just I think the second or the third video I put up suddenly just had a big life. It went viral, and my neighbours knocked on my door and said, "Our daughter's just seen you on TikTok. Yeah, you're famous." Quite, but anyway, so I thought this is really easy because literally when I'm out researching for a tour, I will have my phone with me because I've often take photographs of stuff that I need to research later, and so it's just and then once I've got you don't need. You don't need to have too much knowledge. You just need to have enough to fill. Nowadays, it's 1 minute. Back then, it was more like 20 seconds. Really just
Mm.
from a single fact. So the first video that went viral was about there's this place in the east end of London, of the city of London called Aldgate, which has got the Minories in it, the little street, and there's a building in it which is called the Ibex Building. It's 1920s Art Deco style office block, which I read that Adolf Hitler had earmarked for his SS headquarters if he won the war. And that's all I said, and it suddenly went, huge. So I thought, oh, there's something in this. But at that point, I had no aspirations to earn money from it, let alone get work from it either. But over the 2.5 years now, I've got you said millions. I haven't got millions of followers. I've got 360 or thousand followers, but I've got 13.5 million views. I've probably got no likes and about 150 million views, I'd say, across all the videos. And I try and post about once a day. And literally, it's just so easy for me because I mean, I've got no production standard. I'll talk about tips later, but essentially, I just record what I see. And so I basically I'm earning over £1,000 a month from it now as well. And I'm not taking any endorsements or selling any products. Literally, it's just purely from the views I get. So again, another bizarre. added bonus as well. But it is very accessible, and I think anyone can do it. And the benefit of TikTok, I think, compared to all the other social media platforms they're trying to catch up, is that you don't need to do any marketing at all. If you've got a really good, strong quality video, and some people just have one video that goes viral and that's it. So, but it doesn't matter if the video itself stands up, then it will find an audience. Because TikTok, you can follow people on TikTok. That doesn't mean you'll see their videos and you actually click on their page and start to scroll through their content. Their For You page, which is your general view, apologies if you already know this, everybody, by the way. Just because curate it for you. And I joke. I say and as a 58-year-old man, I was when I first joined TikTok. About 99% of the first videos they assumed I'd be interested in were young women dancing away. And now, because they've got to know me, that's only 91%. They've got me now. They know what I like mostly. I have to say, I tend to not actually look at other people's content on TikTok. All I do is look at how well my own videos are doing, but rather selfishly. But there we go. Yeah, because it's too much of a distraction otherwise. It is really like an octopus sucking your attention. So I try to
Yeah.
avoid the worst sides of being on it. And if it went tomorrow, I'd mind, but it's not going to affect. It's not my job. I'm not a professional TikToker. It's just an
Yeah.
ancillary function of being a tour guide for me.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it is really, it is inspiring because so many people might like the idea of filming themselves on
Yeah.
TikTok, but think, something that really comes through on your videos is how
Yes,
authentic it is. It's not like, perfectly posed. It's
that's
just,
very, very true. And again, Chris Torres, who's on this call, is an amazing resource about all things to do with um, various aspects of social media and tour guiding. I highly recommend his book, Bookers into Lookers. I think it's called. Absolutely brilliant. Hi, Chris. But yeah, the difference again between TikTok and things like Insta, for example, is that it's all about authenticity. And
mm,
viewers on TikTok can smell people who are being paid actors or somehow don't believe in what they're saying or are somehow staging stuff. And therefore, I have very few production standards. I'll just wave my camera about, mumble into the phone. I mean, I have invested in a microphone recently, but I haven't used it yet. Just in one video so far, I didn't know how it worked, to be honest. I've set it up yesterday. Now I'm going to try it in the future. I would say good sound. I probably is a mistake of mine in the past. Good sound is a big difference. People don't if the video isn't that good, but the audio is, then it's a really big plus. But so don't make my mistake and get invested in a microphone if you want to do it seriously. But it is just so accessible. You can just record and go straight into it and the worst thing that can happen is no one watches it.
mm.
Yeah, although I know I have had some criticisms. The worst thing that anyone said to me was, "I can see your nose hairs." That was because I've been doing zooming in on something in the distance and I turned the camera around and it went straight up my nose. So that does happen.
Honestly, though, what a thing to say. Um, just to pick up though, on something you said there, which was, that it wouldn't be the end of the world
Yeah.
if the TikTok platform fell down or something. I did want to ask if anyone is watching and thinking about TikTok, what impact has like the TikTok ban in the USA had?
But obviously, there's lots of anticipation that it would be the end of. I'm in a WhatsApp group with some other creators, and some of them have got like 80% of their followers are in the States, and they're really worried about losing all their income. I've got about 25% of my followers are in the States, and so as I said, I'm not dependent on TikTok income anyway, as well. But I do have genuine concerns about TikTok's intrusion into personal data, and also about influence on world politics, especially in American politics as well. So I do have some sympathy with the background behind the ban, and I'm a bit concerned that they are throwing out the baby with the bathwater and not addressing that in any of the remediation they're attempting to implement on it, purely just financial controls. That's it. So um, it didn't really affect me in the end. It was only down for like a day.
Mhm.
um, and I didn't lose any viewers, and I'm still getting lots of requests from it. So it's a blip, but
Mhm.
I am. Recently, I was approached by someone who's now temporarily working with me on diversifying a bit. So she's taking my backlog videos and porting them across to YouTube. YouTube, she's working from the backwards forwards. So she's doing like a monthly compendium, and then she's also doing live YouTube shorts as well for my most recent ones too. So I am sort of attempting a bit of diversification, but I've tried Instagram and I've just got nowhere really. I don't know what the difference is between the two. I don't really care, as long as I've got TikTok for now, that's fine. But literally, it's just an expression of my guiding. Like all I do is TikTok is me guiding. That just recorded on video. That's what I view it as.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's great. It's just all these little I was watching one, I think it's one of your pinned ones to the top, and you're talking about the price of getting into Tower Bridge. And then you just lead, and I love it because you actually start running,
Yeah.
run through this kind of little, I don't know, is it a shopping center archway or something?
Yeah, well, that point, I didn't even know how to speed up the video on YouTube, on TikTok either. So I thought, let's just run to like shorten the video length. That was quite interesting. I mean, that was to compare. I didn't get criticism for that one, but I felt a bit bad afterwards. I was pointing my video at that Tower of London and saying, look, it's £29.90 to get in here. It's now about £32, by the way. But if you want to have something that's actually free next door to it that no one knows about, and I turn the camera around looking at it's the Leonardo Hotel, just at the bottom of the street there, and they've got this car park in the front of it, or where you can drive up, and at the back of it, they've got a huge section of the original Roman London Wall that no one looks at. So I ran to it and then explained the context of it as well. So yeah, that was quite fun, and again, it was able to show my genuine enthusiasm and passion and quite light-hearted approach towards the medium.
I bet the Leonardo Hotel is getting lots of extra passing
Yeah,
trains
yeah,
now.
they've been quite happy, I suspect. There's another hotel next door to them, which is the Citizen M Hotel. You can also see it through them as well, but you have to go into the hotel to see it, so it's not quite as accessible. But
Right, okay. No, I thought that was absolutely marvelous. Right, David, unfortunately, we're running out of time a little bit. So, I can't decide. I've got two questions that I'd like to ask you, and I can't decide which one to pick. Would it be really cheeky to ask you two questions?
go ahead.
Okay. So my first question then is, do you have a favorite London story that you like to tell people?
Well, yeah, this is a bit rude, so I hope
Oh,
you
I
can
love a
answer.
rude story.
Okay, right. It's all to do with the creation of MI6 or SIS, as it really is called. There's a gentleman called Mansfield Cumming who was invited to form it. He was an extraordinary man. There's a house in Queen Anne's Gate, number 21, which was marketed when it was sold a few years ago as being where he was based. Unfortunately, they didn't actually move into that until after he died. So it's a fake advertising on this place. But the story about him is that he was an inventor and he was obsessed with, he had his own laboratory in Whitehall Court, and he wanted to invent the perfect invisible ink. Right. And as I say in my videos, it was a stroke of luck that he discovered that male, a liquid that's created by men in the act of lovemaking, let's say, is a perfect invisible ink. So he sent a message out to all his officers around the world, so every man his own stylus. Right. And then, unfortunately, one of his officers in Belgium was bottled a small amount of it and discovered when he opened it up after a few days, it had gone off and it stank so badly that it just gave away the secret, and therefore he stopped doing it. So that's kind of one of my favorite locations to talk about as well. And then yeah, that's one of my favorite stories.
That's brilliant. Absolutely love that. Gosh, yeah. Uh,
I
so
don't think I
this
had a
is
bottle or anything I've prepared.
yeah, I feel there should be almost be some
I
kind of
do say that he ordered his men to stand down. That's the other.
brilliant. I love that story. And I think the last question then will be David. And it's been so inspiring listening to you talk today. And I just wondered if you had any advice, any advice for maybe for people who are just starting out in their tour guiding career or possibly watching this with a view to becoming a tour guide.
So when I first qualified, I knew that I wanted to get some social media presence. And I thought TripAdvisor was the way to do it. So I tried to get as many TripAdvisor reviews as possible. And the way I did that was volunteer for free tours for charities. So I did a lot with CSR businesses across the City of London, fundraising for their charities of the year, working with churches, whatever. And at the end of the tour, I just say, look, this is a free tour. If you really enjoyed it, then please would you mind leaving me a review on TripAdvisor? And that built up enough of a group. So I've now got 725-star reviews. I number 18 in London out of around 2,300 guides. So something's working. But that allowed me to have something I could prove to other people, market myself via reviews. And you can do it with Google reviews, whatever. So that's one thing I did as well. And then the other thing, I just asked friends to. I became friends with guides, and you network, and you also see other guides as well, because you're not copying them if you just you're not doing their stops, you're not doing their material, but you're looking at how they project, how they. And I had the benefit of my wife being a comedian, and therefore I've been exposed to lots of performance in that way, and me being a magician as well. So look at alternative methods of entertainment, because I view guiding as entertainment, really. That's what it is to me. And see how other people, and learn some performance skills, learn some management skills, learn some just common sense. And always, whenever I'm doing a stop, I always put myself in the eyes of the spectator. I think, what are they experiencing? And I try to gauge. For example, I'm always looking to see if anyone's on their phone and I'm doing a tour. And if they are, I don't blame them. I blame me. I'm not being interested enough. I'm not, So that's the point. I used to be in the habit. I don't do it so much now. I used to make notes after every tour as well. So what went well, what didn't go well, what can I improve, what's the, you know, what do I feel about it? So that's some tips for people, I think.
That's brilliant. I mean, that's all of that is absolutely gold advice. So getting reviews, networking, and then just really continually trying to develop, because you wear so many different hats as a tour guide, don't you? I mean,
Yeah.
as you
The
say,
other thing I'd say is I just me, I never script. So although I've got points that I write down, I always try to make everything different every time I speak. So I'm very, very aware of repeating anything. So I tell the same stories, but in different ways. I always try to make it slightly different. That creates that sense of freshness and
yeah.
and people. It's like being a comedian. I mean, my wife they're very scripted, but they have the gift of being able to make it look as if they're talking to the audience for the first time, and actually, it's not a performance; it's a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that keeps it's keeping it fresh for you as well as
That's
the
true. Yeah.
audience, isn't it? Yeah.
Also, the other thing is, I try to draw attention away from myself. So for me, it's all about the people who are on my tour, and I get so much stories from them, so many information, so many personal relationships, so many family members who are involved in things that, it really helps me to pay attention to what they're saying and what they're feeling as well.
So it's almost like an exchange more
It
than
is
just a
shared.
one-way
Yeah,
transmission.
it's a shared conversation.
Yeah, brilliant. Gosh, there's so much there. Well, I think that's absolutely excellent advice. If you're trying to remember it all or struggling to scribble down notes, don't worry, because I'll be writing a summary of our discussion with David, and it will be in next week's newsletter. So do keep an eye out for that. Thanks very much, Les. Great entertaining input today. I thoroughly agree. David, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really honoured.
Oh, it's been good. Well, I felt very lucky to have you on the session and be able to talk to you. So thank you. Thank you to our lovely audience, and look forward to seeing you for another Tour Pro Talks very soon. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.